With strong rumours linking Eze to Manchester City, I have had to update my team, and that's what we're going to cover in today's video, as well as all the key data you need for game week 1. Now, before we dive into the team itself, I just want to say that if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And to celebrate deadline day tomorrow, I will be streaming for around 4 hours. There will be a preview stream in the afternoon around 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll be live from 3:30 all the way up until 6:30, I think it is, for the FPL deadline. It's going to be a long one. We're in for the duration, to be honest. So I'm really looking forward to it. So if you do obviously want to come along to those streams, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. Now, let's start off first with the goalkeepers for my final draft. I hope this is the final one. I hope there aren't any more kind of surprises on deadline day. But we're going to start off with Dean Henderson and Vladimirson. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. For me, I think Henderson is arguably one of the best 4.5 million goalkeepers we can go for. It does look like Johnson is going to depart the club, and it looks like the Ramsdale rumours have quietened down as well. And last season, Crystal Palace were 5th best for XG conceded, and under Glatzner himself, since his appointment, were the 4th best team. I think with the offers kind of getting rebuffed as well for Mark Gahey, and with Anderson basically ruling out that move to Fulham, I think that makes him a very solid and solidified defence. That 5 at the back system, very good, and I expect him to be one of the highest scoring goalkeepers if he does manage to keep himself fit throughout the calendar year. The other goalkeeper is the Brentford second goalkeeper. The reason I've gone for him is obviously Flecken had a few shaky moments. He's already had one so far this season in pre-season, and you feel like if he continues to make mistakes, it's only a matter of time before potentially Thomas Frank drops him. They don't have another goalkeeper. This guy's in at 4 million. I think Bentley is the other option that I'm maybe looking at as well. That one for me is not really a position too much to worry about for deadline day, so we're just going to go with that one and hope that if Flecken does start to concede some clangers and some mistakes start to appear in his game, we could have a 4 million playing goalkeeper. But that's the thoughts for right now. Right, let's move on into the back line. We're going to start off with Pedro Porro, one of the highest expected point scorers on Fantasy Football Hub's model. As well, if we look at the data from Rob T FPL, which I've been covering quite a lot so far, as you can see, Spurs' kind of defensive record is pretty good for this game week as well. Leicester away, they then follow it up with Everton away, and then kind of using Lewis Dunk and other players as well, we can basically rotate around his bad fixtures and keep him up all the way. I'm kind of at the moment in the game week 12 mindset of that is the week that I'm going to be wildcarding. Him last season as well, he was one of the top scoring defenders, and I don't expect that to change, to be honest. The way he attacks, the way he gets forward, and if we look at Spurs' start to the season last year when they had a full fit defence, they managed to keep a clean sheet in 40% of their opening 12 games as well, suggesting that when all these players are fit and available, they're a strong defensive unit, and with attacking returns as well, that makes a pretty good player for me. Next up is going to be Gavardiel. Obviously finished the season super strong for Manchester City. They've got some pretty good fixtures as well in there. Obviously the Arsenal-Newcastle games, a little bit dicey, but I think if he does continue the form that he showed at the back end of last season, he could be a standout player as well. The Fantasy Football Hub model, loving him for predicted points yet again, so no real surprise with that one. Interestingly, we've gone for Gabriel Saliba as our final playing defender as well within the side. If we look at the data from 11FI, him and Arsenal are predicted to be the best team for clean sheet data over the opening 6 game weeks as well. I am tempted with Gabriel, but my slight concern is with Champions League football kicking in match day 4, the defensive additions that Arsenal have made as well, we could see some rotation in that back line, whereas I feel Saliba is going to play every single Premier League game this season. No doubt in my mind he will be featuring in every single one, so I think it's a little bit of reassurance. And then moving on to the 2 bench defenders as well, we've got Lewis Dunk and Harwood Bellis. Now the reason I've gone for Dunk is basically to rotate around the 2 difficult away fixtures for William Saliba. With that run, they play Ipswich and they play Nottingham Forest. Now, some of you might be saying, why are you not going for Barco? For me, Barco is a massive avoid now. It looks like Brighton are going to be signing a new left back, which does obviously pose a problem. Estupinian back in training as well. I think that completely diminishes the Barco dream. He's currently above 20% owned as well, so if he does not start, expect a lot of players to be selling him off and you start to lose money in the bank on a 4 million player player, which is not what you want come the start of the game. So yeah, that's why Lewis Dunk's in here. He rotates around the difficult fixtures for Arsenal and for Spurs as well, and gives me a nice player option. He's very good, he's very solid, he is the Brighton captain as well, so no complaints with me for that one for 4.5 million. Same goes for Harwood Bellis. The reason that I have selected him, again, is purely down to the fact that he does give me a nice option when Manchester City and Arsenal play. So if I did want to drop Gvardiol, I would have Harwood Bellis against Ipswich, and I would have Lewis Dunk against Nottingham Forest. So both really, really good defensive pairings if I want to drop either of those two for that obviously potential title decider game. Right, let's move on into the midfield. We're going to start off with Son. I can't believe how low owned this guy is. 10.4%. I know a lot of people will be looking at Dominic Solanke, especially after the positive comments that Postecoglou made around him. But I think we're forgetting this guy is a former Golden Boot winner, previous 200-point scorer as well in FPL. Some great opening fixtures, very, very high up on the predicted points model as well for Fantasy Football Hub. And he's got a great record against Leicester. I think this could be my super differential for the opening few weeks as well. I'm very, very tempted as well to switch him for Foden or KDB, you know, after a couple game weeks to kind of hop on the Manchester City train or move a couple things around and try and find that 0.5 million to go and get Cole Palmer. But for me, I'm very happy with Son. I can't believe he's this low owned. He's a great, fantastic player. Obviously, the big debate is whether or not he will keep penalties, but I don't think he's missed one since 2019. Dominic Solanke obviously missed one last season. So we're going to have to wait and see for Spurs to go and get a penalty before we can decide which player is the right one to go for. Next up, it is going to be Mohamed Salah. I think the Liverpool opening fixtures are stellar, to be honest. He represents a great captaincy option in matchday 1, matchday 2, matchday 3, matchday 4, and potentially even matchday 5. That's why I've gone with him over Erling Haaland. Obviously, the big debate is around that Ipswich game and the kind of, you know, trajectory. But as we can see here from 11ofI's projected goals, despite that, Salah, I think, and Liverpool represent a better attack over the opening 5 game weeks as a whole, projected to get more goals. And I just think the way that Salah has cooked this pre-season with the rotating forwards as well has looked really, really good under Arne Slot. So I'm going to take a little bit of a gamble here. We are going for Salah, and we're not going for Erling Haaland. Next up is going to be Bukayo Saka. Again, very, very high up on projected points data from Fantasy Football Hub. And for me, I think, you know, there are some definite difficult fixtures in there. The Tottenham away, the City away, and the Villa away. But if we look back to last season, he scored against Villa. He scored against Tottenham away as well. Actually bagged a brace. And then we've also got Wolves at home and Brighton at home. And if we use Rob T FPL's data, Arsenal are projected as one of the top teams 4 goals in matchday 1 according to betting data as well. So I think he could represent a great differential as well, only at around 26% owned. So could be one of those players that does cook and arguably gets me the points that you know, needed to combat Erling Haaland next week if he does pop off against Ipswich. A player that's not left my team is Anthony Gordon. Now this one, there is some rumours that he might not start the game. Now, there's nothing concrete, and we're going to have to wait and see what Eddie Howe has said, but not seen too many minutes in pre-season. Yes, the fixtures are there. Yes, he's a phenomenal player, and I definitely think he'll have another fantastic season. But if that's the case, if there are doubts, I would switch to Diego Jota with the strong Liverpool fixtures and strong projected goals as well for them in the kind of opening 6 game weeks. The Eze replacement, it is going to be Nkunku. Chelsea's fixtures after matchday 1 for me are really, really impressive. Wolves, Palace, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Nottingham Forest. A real long run of fixtures, and I think he will start the season as the number 9. Been super impressive in pre-season, and if you see the manager's comments around him as well, very, very, very highly regarded. And if we look at the Fantasy Football Hub model as well, very highly regarded for projected points as well for that one. And you know what? I watched FPL Focal's video around FPL experts, and this guy is heavily selected amongst those. Only 17% owned now. And we feel, you know, if he pops off against City or in those early few good game weeks as well, he could be one of those players that does start to see a huge price increase as well over the kind of opening few weeks. Right, let's move on to our 2 forwards. Finishing up my final draft. I hope I don't have to make any more changes tomorrow for the deadline. We're going to go with Muniz, and we're going to go for Alexander Isak. First off, let's start off with Muniz. Fulham's fixtures are really good up until around game week 6. I know they got Manchester United away, but they're going to be without, obviously, I think Martinez is not rumoured to start. It's rumoured to be, I think it's Maguire and Evans as the two centre-backs. Martinez at left-back is what I'm reading from a lot of kind of United fan accounts. And I think they could be definitely there for the taking against Fulham. Fulham beat them 2-1 there last season as well. So it's not out the kind of realms of possibility. Now, I know they've signed De Ligt and I think they will be a better defence. But if we look towards last season, they were the 16th worst defence for XG conceded. And I very easily could see Fulham going and doing a job. After that, though, it's two newly promoted sides in Leicester and Ipswich, West Ham and Newcastle at home as well, and then Nottingham Forest in matchday 6. After that, though, I would be looking at the run that Everton have from game week 7 onwards. There's some absolutely stellar fixtures in there. Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well is a penalty taker. He is the key forward for Everton. If you look at his underperformance on XG as well last season, could be a nice enabler at that 6 million. So we've got to kind of plan with that one. And if you look at Muniz as well on the Fantasy Football Hub projected model, no forward under 7.5 million scores more across the opening 5 game weeks than this guy. That includes Dominic Solanke, who we're all raving about. That's Chris Wood, Ivan Toney, Mateta, all of these players. He's finishing above all of those 4 projected points. So maybe something to consider with your own sides as well. Finishing up, it is going to be Alexander Isak. I mean, I don't really have to explain this one. He has not left a single draft, has he? Fantastic player, 0.83 for goals per 90 last season. Some great fixtures for Newcastle, and I've had a cheeky little each way bet on him to be top goal scorer this season. I think if he can keep himself fit, Newcastle as well, they've got that midfield trio back with Joel Linton complementing them. I think they could be a real danger, real force this season, and I'm expecting Isak to do extremely well. And then finishing up, it is going to be Jebson. It's just a 4.5 million who might play. Now, I know Bournemouth have agreed a new deal for a forward, so it does look like that dream is slowly fading, but still, him or Stewart, it's kind of a little bit of a toss-up, and I think Jebson potentially gets a few more minutes as well. That was my final draft, I hope, and my team selection for game week 1. Let me know if you've got any questions down in the comment section below. And like I said, we will be live for 4 hours tomorrow if I don't get a chance to answer any of them. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 1.